Hi everyone! Let's go over what you need to do to prep your floor before installing your Metroflor rigid core flooring with DropLock 100. The first step to a successful installation is careful preparation. Follow these pre-installation steps for best results. Step 1. Verify that all material to be installed is from the same run. Minor shade variations within the same run number are normal. However, installing material from different run numbers across large expanses is not desirable. Step 2. Next, turn on the HVAC at least 1 week prior to installing. Room temperature should be maintained between 50 and 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 and 38 degrees Celsius for at least 48 hours prior to installation. Step 3. Acclimate the materials for as long as necessary. Though not necessary to acclimate Metroflor rigid core products in residential applications, it is recommended for 24 to 48 hours. In commercial installations, flooring must be acclimated for a minimum of 48 hours in the area where it is to be installed. Place unopened cartons in stacks of no more than 6 high and at least 4 inches apart, away from heating and cooling ducts and direct sunlight. Cartons should never be stored or left standing on end. Step 4. Floor moldings, including quarter round and wall base, should be carefully removed prior to installation. Step 5. Confirm your substrate is suitable for use with Metroflor rigid core products and perform the appropriate moisture checks. Concrete substrates must be tested for relative humidity, moisture, and pH. Test results must not exceed 85% relative humidity. The calcium chloride test for moisture must be no more than 8 pounds per 1,000 square feet in 24 hours MVER, and pH tests for alkalinity levels should register between 7 and 10. Wood substrate should be checked using an appropriate moisture meter even if no obvious sign of moisture is present. Moisture levels must not exceed 14%. Step 6. Next, check your substrate for level. Substrates must be sturdy, sound, and flat, within 3/16 of an inch within a 10-foot radius, without any abrupt height variations. In addition, the substrate should not slope more than 1 inch per 6 feet in any direction. If necessary, fill large cracks or voids with an appropriate patching compound. When installing over ceramic tile in residential applications, filling grout lines is not required, so long as subfloor flatness guidelines are followed. In commercial applications over ceramic tile, grout lines must be filled. Pre-existing adhesives must be removed, so all that remains is a thin, smooth film. The remaining film should be properly encapsulated using an appropriate floor patching compound or completely removed by a non-chemical method, such as shot blasting or grinding. Step 7. Wood door casings should be undercut to allow your product to fit neatly underneath. Do not cut metal door casings. Cut your flooring around them, leaving the appropriate expansion space. Step 8. Finally, sweep and vacuum the entire subfloor to remove all debris and dust, and you're ready to begin. Step 9. Perform a final inspection of the substrate and product. Make sure your substrate is completely clean, dry, smooth, and flat, and all necessary preparations have been documented and completed. Now let's get into the installation instructions for your Metroflor floating floor with the DropLock 100 installation system. Step 1. You will need to balance the room so you do not end up with super small pieces on the last row. Measure and mark the center point on both sides of the room, then draw a line between them. Step 2. Starting from your newly created center line, assemble a column of material toward the starting wall until no additional pieces can be laid, and place a mark at the end of the last piece between the starting wall. Then draw a line along the starting wall, ensuring that it is perfectly parallel to the center line. This is your starting line. Note, if the perimeter pieces are less than half the width of a piece, offset the starting line by shifting away from the starting wall by a distance equal to half the width of a piece. Step 3. Place full pieces end to end along the starting line with the long tongue edge facing the starting wall, without engaging the short joints. Step 4. Next, we will create a scribing block to transfer the contours of the starting wall onto the first row. To determine the size needed, measure the width of the flooring, excluding the locking profiles, plus an additional 1/4 inch for a residential project, or 3/8 inch for a commercial project. Then cut a piece of scrap flooring, plywood, or similar material to this measurement. Place a scribing block against the wall and mark a line at the edge of it. Continue sliding it along the starting wall while continuing to mark. Carefully cut the marked material on the line. These pieces will be used for row 1. Step 5. We'll now install the first 2 rows from left to right beginning in the left corner while facing the starting wall. The installation will alternate back and forth between rows 1 and 2 for the first 2 rows only. When installing planks, maintain a minimum of 6-inch short joint stagger from row to row throughout the entire installation. When installing tiles, they should be staggered in a brick-laid pattern with a stagger equal to half of a tile. Place the first piece of row 1 several inches from the starting wall, with a long cut edge facing the starting wall. Cut the first piece of row 2 to 1/3 its length. Interlock the long tongue edge of the first piece of row 2 into the long groove edge of the first piece of row 1, ensuring that there are no gaps. Using a hammer and a Prevail tapping block, carefully tap along the long groove edge to fully engage the joints. Next, we will install the second piece in the second row. Insert the long tongue edge of the plank into the long groove edge of the first piece of row 1. Then slide the plank until the short tongue touches the short groove edge on the first plank of the second row. Tap the long joint tight using the Prevail tapping block, then tap down on the short joint using the soft face hammer. Make certain the long joints are engaged before tapping down the short joints. Continue installing rows 1 and 2 using the installation sequence until you reach the opposite wall and cannot install another full-length piece. Step 6. Measure, mark, and cut the final pieces of rows 1 and 2, ensuring both sides of the rows have proper expansion space. Place appropriately sized spacers along the left, right, and starting walls. Slide the assembly over and against the spacers along the starting wall. Residential projects require a 1/4 inch expansion space, and commercial projects require a 3/8 inch expansion space. Step 7. Now we can install the remaining rows one after another. Always tap the long joint tight using the Prevail tapping block before tapping the short joint down using the soft-faced hammer. Remember to maintain the required stagger throughout the installation. Step 8. Using the scribing block created at the beginning of your installation, mark, cut, and install the final row, always ensuring proper expansion is provided. Use a pull bar to fully engage the long joints and not on the short edges. Step 9. After all planks or tiles are installed, remove the spacers and cover the expansion gap with trim, being sure not to trap or pin down the floor. In high moisture areas, the expansion space may be filled using premium waterproof 100% silicone sealant. Sweep and damp mop the flooring to ensure all the dust, dirt, and debris are removed from the surface of the floor. That's it! Great job on installing your floor! For more information and detailed installation guidelines for Metroflor's rigid core floors using DropLock 100, visit Metroflor.com.